You're tuned in to the Behind the Scenes podcast with your host, Man Robinson, the place where educational, motivational, and inspiration collide with innovation. Be entertained while learning from some of the best actors, directors, and producers in the industry today with self-help tips that you can apply in your career. We don't just talk about it, we be about it.
So welcome to part 2 of episode 1. This is basically episode 2, and it is filmmakers making quarantine work. In other words, we find our way around this quarantine thing that we've been in for a little minute here. So all industries, of course, have been affected. A lot of people are coming to this very method that we're using now, the remote way, but we're interested in seeing how filmmakers actually are doing, like, to get their work out, to be creative still and still be active in the field that we all love. That's actors, directors, producers, writers, everyone. So our first episode was last week. This week we have part 2, like I just said, and we have a special guest. This woman, this lady, this phenom is a legend in the game. She is an amazing actress. She is also an amazing person. Like, the things she says is all knowledgeable, and she's great. She is actually legendary as well. She's been in shows like Cosby. She's been in Living Color, really, Living Color. Now, In Living Color was a great show that sparked a lot of careers, from Jim Carrey to Jamie Foxx to others, and it was originated by the Wayans brothers. And this particular young lady was the only black girl on there that was not related to the Wayans, and she stood out just as much as they did. She was dope. I remember it. That's why this is a special moment for me to have her on the show. We have the one and only Takia Crystal Kehmáh coming. So y'all stay tuned to what we have in store. She's coming up next. But first, we're going to play the trailer to the movie she's in now. The whole reason we're here, the cast of Revival. She's in it. She plays a character that's totally different than comedy, and she killed it. So that's what I mean by her being legendary and so dope. So we're going to play that trailer now, then we're going to come back and we're going to talk to her, Miss Crystal. That's her middle name. First name is Takia Crystal Kehmáh. We'll be right back. Here's the trailer for Revival.
This Easter Sunday,
Whom do you seek?
Jesus of Nazareth, the one who was crucified.
Jesus Christ,
Our Lord.
the Son of God, is alive again.
a musical inspired by the Book of John.
Have you considered that he may never have been dead?
Revival, a must-see inspirational movie for the whole family. Streaming online for one day only.
This Jesus the Christ, does he remind you of anyone?
Family.
Daughter, what is wrong? My Father is God, and I only do as he commands.
You don't want to miss this Easter Sunday.
Everyone who can receive the truth listens to my voice.
Imprisoning him is not our request.
Log on to www.eastersunday2020.online.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes with Man Robinson. We don't just talk about it, we be about it.
Whoa, I hate to jump in the middle of the broadcast before I know we got to get to the guests, but I just wanted to ask y'all a question. Hey, see that trailer? Trailer was dope, right? www.eastersunday2020, the numbers, .online. Easter Sunday only. Y'all got to log in because that trailer was everything. Now let's get to Takia, please, real quick. I got to talk to her, man. I got some stuff to ask her. So this is the new wave of, podcasting, and people are actually shooting movies like this right now. So
I know.
It's definitely the new way. So that's what this podcast is about. The topic is the industry, what we're in, working around a shift of, and still be able to be creative and get things published, being in quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
This is not something that happens every 10 years or every 30 years. We never know when this is going to happen. So it's new territory, right?
Right.
So you are part of a movie that is phenomenal. It's called Revival.
Yes. Yay.
Yeah. And I heard you were mean in it. Is that true?
No. Who told you that?
Somebody said he was mean. I don't know.
No. Reba is just a woman of conviction. And it happens in the story that everyone else is wrong. And she has to set them right.
Oh, that sounds like a wife or something. Yeah. Sounds pretty familiar.
Yeah, she's, the interesting thing, the movie is so eclectic in every conceivable way. Mm-hmm. And it tells the truth about some cultural things, and then it takes license. And Reba, the character, is one of the ways in which it takes license, because we don't know that there were any female Sanhedrin. And so to create the character, I imagine what she must have been, or what she would have to have been to be that person, to be that female Sanhedrin. And based on women that I know in my own situations in which women are in a man's world, and what we have to become to stay in it, survive in it, thrive in it, succeed in it. There's no weakness allowed. And some of your femininity goes away, and you literally dig your heels in if you feel you are right. You're prepared to fight men. And there's a scene in the film where things get really heated, and on my side, you never know what the other actors are thinking, what the other characters are thinking, just like in real life. But on my end, that scene was important to me because it was the scene where I got to show how far I would go. There was no one I would fight if I felt like I was in the right. And no one could step to me and win without a good fight. And certainly this young man, who I simply don't believe is the Son of God, is making people come away from the church as I know it. Of course I'm going to fight him. Of course I'm going to try to get rid of him. That's not mean. That's only right.
Well, isn't that kind of what people say now? What should I believe you because you think this way, and this is the religion that you tell us to follow? Isn't that kind of what some people do now?
It's now, then, always. Yeah. There's for as long as there has been spirituality, I think there's been a fight over how it should be, which I think has always been a ridiculous fight, a ridiculous argument. Yeah. I feel that, and not to say anything against any religion, I have a great respect for people of faith, people that worship however they worship. I think there's room for everyone. I think the belief that you are right and everyone else is wrong is dangerous. I think that's a dangerous way to be, because it allows people to not get along, and it encourages it.
Yeah, that's very dangerous. And that kind of leads us into what we're talking about today. Our leader in chief is exactly that. What he says is right and everybody else is wrong. And I think sometimes we take the view off of what really, that office is supposed to represent solution and leadership to me. Just always my opinion. Not
the opinion of the station? Or?
No, totally not. This Black Film, by the way, it's blackfilm.com, behind the scenes with Marion Robinson. We're doing our podcast today, and our topic is about surviving and adjusting in the shift of this quarantine that we're in, and still be able to be creative, productive, and progressive.
Yes.
With this. So that's what we're talking about today. I still heard your character was mean. They kept saying it. So
I don't know who these people are. No, yeah. She was a harsh woman, again, because I think she would have had to have been that way in that time. Definitely.
In that time frame, female, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely
in this
agree.
time, it's hard to not be, considered bad when you're a woman of purpose. The same has never been said. I don't know when it will be said of men who act in the exact same way.
Yeah, it needs to be said. I admit. Yeah. So we have here, you have a silent T. Is this T is silent? It's not silent.
Takia Crystal Kehmáh.
Can I do it?
Yes, please.
You got to do it one more time for me, though.
Yeah.
Takia Crystal
Kehmáh.
Kehmáh.
Yeah.
Beautiful name, by the way.
Thank you.
Speaking of that, Takia Crystal is actually a comedian.
You look at it like, are you? I don't consider myself a comedian. I just consider myself a performer without any limits. So I've done comedy, I've done drama, I've done variety. I've never done what you could call stand-up, although I've stood up in front of an audience and was considered funny. but I've never considered myself a stand-up. I don't consider myself a comedian.
I'll be honest. I was shocked to see that. Our producer did research, and of course, you don't have to do much research on you, but she did her job, and it came back comedian. I'm looking at it now, and it's like, wait, I never thought that either. She's an actress, but I do want to say though, you are a part of 3 legendary TV series, and how that's amazing that you are and that you were able to do that. And you may not know this, and maybe you heard this before, but you were on the lines of a Halle Berry and those particular Stacey Dash back in that time, where you were that type of person, and that's how we looked at you. And it was like, oh, I can't wait to watch that show. The rest of that. So, so thank you for all of those great performances and everything that you've done for the industry. And this podcast is here to motivate, educate, and inspire. So it's not a regular podcast. This one is like a self-help podcast. Excellent. And we have people like you that could actually say something or give something to the audience. Million listeners, by the way, fireblackfilm.com.
Congratulations.
Thank you. They are people who are interested. Not everyone wants to go on a podcast or a website, I should say, and see an actor and spend the rest of their day gloating over that actor. Most of us nowadays want to go on there to learn something and see how we can be that, or how can I'm in this right now. We have, and I can split it up in black and white. No need to, but I will. The young filmmakers now, in the rate that it was 20 years ago, it's probably 100,000% different. You're able to do this now. We have cameras just spinning around nowadays. So
right.
You're able to do that. And with that being said, to be black and doing it, that means that most of the audience now are people who want to do it. It's not like it was back then.
Right.
So that's why we try to offer motivational things. So how did you stay relevant?
Let me say, first of all, I'm not offended by the word comedian, and if somebody introduces me that way, I don't correct them, even though that's not how I consider myself. Mm-hmm. But I've been performing since I was really little. I did my first shows in my grandparents' living room, and it never occurred to me to wait for an agent or a manager or anything. And so I was in essence, like the young people today that don't wait for anybody. They want to do something, they produce it themselves, and they have access. My access 50 years ago was my grandparents' living room. So I had a small audience. Well, we actually had a big family, so there's a dozen or so people there, but a relatively small audience. But I never stopped doing that. When I want to perform, I perform, and I'm in constant study. There's never a situation in which I'm not studying. Every person I meet goes into my treasure chest of characters. The way somebody sits, stands, talks, hesitates, slumps. It doesn't matter what it is at all. I observe it all. It goes into my chest of possibilities. Every smell, every sight, it all goes in, and I practice accessing it. I was doing a blind exercise at home this week, knocked over so many things. I spent 2 days cleaning up because I'm always acting, I'm always performing. And so when an opportunity arises, I'm usually ready. So if perhaps that's an answer of how you stay relevant. You stay ready, and then if you're lucky enough, and I do believe that luck is involved, then you're ready when an opportunity arises. And so much luck and blessing and favor was involved in that first television series, because I had been working. I started my first professional job, meaning the job I got paid for, was as a model when I was still in high school. And I did my first film that I got paid for when I was still in college, a student at Florida A&M University. I got to get that in.
Yeah.
And
you got it.
But I had done many theatrical productions from before high school, and I had been a singer and a dancer. I danced at that point, and I think in 4 companies. So I had a lot of experience when I got a call, not from one of the probably 8 agencies that I was listed with in my hometown, Chicago, Chi-town, Southside. Gotta get that in.
Yeah, got it. Got that one too.
But a friend, Dwayne Kennedy, called me and said, this guy is doing a show. He's looking for people who do characters. Without that call, I would never have known anything about In Living Color. I wouldn't have known. But I got that call from a friend and talked to, because of that call, the casting director, who invited me to an open call at a theater. And at this open call was maybe 200 stand-up comedians. So I get there with friends of mine with whom I'd been in a comedy group, and everybody knew me because of the comedy group. And they were all, hey, Lance, hey, Tim, hey, Ali, Chris, what are you doing here? Me, I came with them. We all came. I came with them because I didn't do stand-up. I did characters in this comedy group and on my own. So it was very, very like, what am I doing here? But I did my bit and I got a call back. And only, I think, 2 of the people in my group got a call back, which was odd to me because they were extraordinary comedians. And at the callback, we just did improv, which was quite easy for me. I'd been in an improv group. I'd been doing improv for a long time. And the people at the callback were a select group from the open call and people whose agents had called them. And that's where I met Kelly Caulfield, who is one of the funniest people I know, but she wasn't at that open call. Most of those people weren't at that open call. And so it was luck that got me at that second round, which was for me the easier round, doing improv. And people can't follow that path if you'd be sitting at home waiting for a friend to call. The only path you can follow is to be ready to do everything you do and never stop studying. So when somebody says, hey, I heard you do this. Yes, I do. And here it is. Here it is. And to remain that way. The whole time I was on In Living Color, I was doing theater. I was set to do a show the year before I did In Living Color. I had a theater picked out. I had director Chuck Smith. Hey, Chuck. I'm sure he's watching.
He will.
Was supposed to direct. And we're going to do it at Chicago Theater Company. And then I got the show and moved to Los Angeles. And so I finished that show on my own. And I did that show for 20 years. And I did other shows in between. So I was working constantly on my own things the whole time. And then I was on, when In Living Color ended, I did On Our Own, which is the fourth show that I did that had international popularity. In fact, I went to France and was watching TV, flipping channels, Francais, 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 hey, that's me. So four actually shows that I was on were syndicated internationally, which is really cool. But I worked constantly on my own while I was working. I was on a show on somebody's series at some point in the television season, from In Living Color to On Our Own to the show to Wayne Head, which is the animated season that crossed between the show and Cosby. Then after Cosby, That's So Raven, and then I took a break. I took a long break. And then when I came back, I did my 7th series, which was There's Johnny.
And now it's time for Man Robinson's Motivational Thought. Black movie star, motivational and inspirational. Black movie star.
We all know I do a thing called Black Movie Star. It's called my motivated thought. And my motivated thought is Black Movie Star. And that to me is somebody that, not somebody just, running around with a bunch of cars and a bunch of money and all that. No, this Black Movie Star is about the craft, about whether it's filmmaking, directing, whatever it may be. And I have a different one every episode. This episode is kind of different than this will probably be the only episode that's like this. Maybe. But this one is, the guest herself is my Black Movie Star. So the Black Movie Star today is Takia Crystal Kehmáh, because of the things I just told you about her, and it shows the longevity of her career. If you want an example, I can give you one. She told me, and you hear it in the interview, that she, by chance, somebody told her about the audition. They're looking for character actors, and she went out and she ended up getting her role on In Living Color. So that was by chance. But by that chance, she's now doing filmmaking, doing the lighting, looking at lighting. She's just become what you call a full-rounded filmmaker. And to me, that qualifies her, along with her acting skill, as my new episode 2 Black Movie Star. Crystal.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes with Man Robinson. We don't just talk about it, we be about it.
I remember watching you before I got into the business. I remember watching, those shows. What was that? That was Living Single, right? Was that? What show was that?
I was never on Living Single. I was on In Living Color.
In Living Color. They stole each other's names, and I think that was a marketing. That was a marketing scheme.
I actually had a chance to be on Living Single, but the producer, the creator of the show, I was still on In Living Color when they started, and she wanted me to leave In Living Color to audition for Living Single, and that didn't make sense.
Everybody from In Living Color blew up.
Yeah,
I'm thinking almost pretty much everybody, right? Everybody.
It was an incredible company of people. Yeah. And I think one of the reasons was because Fox was very new. I think we very much helped put Fox on the map. And I think because Keenan, just is a genius. He knew what he wanted the show to be, and he looked until he got everyone he wanted. And there was no old boys network of people who were put on the show because they'd been at the studio for 50 years. The studio hadn't been there for 50 years. So it was all young people who were very, very good at what they did. And what an introduction to television it was for me, because it set the bar so high. And first time I did something, a guest spot, I was shocked to see that, everybody wasn't rolling like that, both in that there were people kind of sitting around like, y'all just here. Because on Living Color, everybody there was working really, really hard. And then that whole business, because the show I did after In Living Color was on our own. It was a children's show. And they had money. So, we were treated very, very, very differently. And because it was children, we got out at a decent hour. I mean, it was like heaven. It's like, we're done? It's still light outside. We're like done for the day. Hey, I want to work with children from now on.
Right.
It was great. Yeah.
But see, that's the type of things that we look for there, because a lot of people watch the show and think it's magic, and they watch a half-hour show and don't know that it took a week to make that half-hour show. So yeah.
Well, I mean, we worked really, really hard on In Living Color, and the joke was when we were taping, because we used to tape on Fridays, and we would start, at a decent hour. And once the show, and it didn't take long for the show to become very, very popular. Like, it was the ticket to have if you were trying to go to a taping of a show. And so when we started at 7:00 or whatever, it'd be the line outside waiting for people to leave so that they could come in. And then about 9:00. You'd be backstage and somebody was about to go out. You go, how's the audience? No, it's still good. It's still good. About 10:00, still, they're still out there. 11, no, it's good. It's good. 12, there's some people. Yes, it's going out. It's cool. It's good. 1:00, man, it's just the writers. It's just the writers.
Yeah.
That's all that's still there. But, you have to perform as if it's still that big house that you're performing for. But we were often there till 2 a.m. or beyond. And I thought that was normal because I didn't know any better.
Yeah, that is pretty long. I mean, I've been on sets for long times too, and it can be, you forget about it when you wake up. It's like, oh, let's do it again.
Yeah.
While you're doing it, it's like, wow. So it's a lot. So now that things have changed, now streaming is king, especially today. Streaming is king. That's why we're doing all of this. So TV is still popular, but all churches are closed on Easter this year across the United States. Right?
Yeah.
So you are part of a very powerful film that is geared towards Easter, and it was set to, we talked to Harry Lennox earlier, and he originally was going to this year actually put it back out in theaters and do some type of run with it, and then this happened. So Dr. Chad Lawson Cooper actually he actually is an innovator. I actually worked with him before on his movie. And actually we're working on some other stuff. So he's an innovator, and he came up with this way so your guys' film can be viewed by everybody, hopefully all the churches around the nation. And that is what we call defeating the quarantine in a sense.
Well, I mean, I hope it's churches and congregations and individuals and groups and organizations all around the world. I would love for people to come together at this time. And, on my website, you'll see I finally did my newsletter in advance of this project, and it starts with a pandemic pause. And every day I go outside and find the sun, and I do a little meditation for the health of my house and my community and my world. And I hope that everyone is taking a moment every day to pause and in reflection, because everybody doesn't pray, but to pause in reflection, in meditation, and just think a kind thought about the world. This is a precious time, and for some it will be a horrific time. For others, it will just be a scary time. For others, it'll just be a chaotic time or weird time, or even an inconvenient time. But for me, it's a precious time because I used to joke, I have too much to do. I can't keep up. I wish the world would just freeze for a moment, but not me, so that I could catch up. And now the world is frozen a little bit. Not every bit of it, but a little bit it's frozen. And we have this precious time, if we would, to have more meaningful conversations with our family and friends, to look up from our electronics and speak with humanity to people, to check on people that we think about, but we don't call, to actually call them and connect with them, to get to the things that are on our dusty list that we think maybe one day, to explore our creativity. Take out that paint and easel that you bought when you were 22 and thought you would be a painter. Take out that sewing machine that you bought when you were watching Project Runway. Or was that just me? But take out that pad and pencil, or even that computer, and write. Write what you fear, write what you love, write what you celebrate. And meditate on your solitude and the joy that you can find in it. This is a precious time. And wouldn't it be great in this precious time, on a day that a lot of people of faith hold precious, to all over the world, watch a piece of art that celebrates culture and faith and humanity and equality and creativity all together, all at once. Maybe not all at the exact time, but on that day. Imagine, I believe it will change the energy of the world. Because right now there's a lot of chaos energy going out, which some people are encouraging. That's unfortunate. But we have the power to turn it around and to put positive energy into the universe. And you can do that and be careful and be safe. You can exist in love and harmony with nature and be of one accord with people, regardless of your belief system. You can do that. And I suggest, why not do that with our film Revival?
I agree with you on that. Can you please tell the audience where it's going to be shown and how to get it?
Yes, it's available on a lot of platforms. You can see them all on my website, Tekehmáh.com. That's TKEYAH.com. On my newsletter, and it'll be on my front page, an announcement about Revival. But it's on iTunes and Fandango Now and Amazon Prime, and you can buy it. You can buy it and then watch it on Easter Sunday with us, or you can download it and watch it by stream on that day. But if you're going to buy it quickly so you can get it in time, because I would love everybody to watch it on that day, on Easter Sunday. But you can go to the revivalmovie.com website or Tekehmáh.com to see all of the links, and they're clickable on both sites. But it's available in a lot of video on demand and retail places that you can order online. So you don't have to leave your house to get a copy. You don't have to leave your house to watch it.
Well, I think that I want to, mention something that you said earlier. I think that digital is really the way to go. And if these people that we are talking to now that are picking up the pen and pad and going on their computers and being creative, I would hope that with this new shift that they are knowing that now that digital is the way to go. So these things that now that we used to have to go to theaters or find a distributor or find an aggregator and do all the stuff we had to do. Trust me, I had a movie sitting for years and I'm just like Harry. I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm doing it myself. So now we know this, and hopefully these younger filmmakers and entrepreneurs and producers will actually follow lead and be successful. And that's what the whole goal is.
Yeah. I mean, I used to, foretell a world where people don't go outside. And this might be the test for that, good or bad. my thoughts were exaggerated after I saw the movie The Matrix, but I believe until we destroy the earth to the point where we cannot go outside, which might happen if we're not very careful, people will always want to gather physically and be in physical commune with each other. And I hope, especially as a theater performer, that continues. Theater people are finding ways to put plays, up digitally, but there's only so much you can do. You can't, dance. You can't do the tango with someone who's not in Kenya when you're in New York.
Right.
So we've got to find a way to not destroy the earth so that we can keep going outside.
Yeah.
But we should also very much embrace this new world of technology and not be afraid of it.
Right.
I'm directing more than I'm performing now, which I still love performing. And yes, I'm going to do that film this summer. And if you want me as an actress, Kehmáh.com. But I love directing. I love performing too. But the last 3 things I did were at least partially online. And the first time I did it, I thought, oh, okay, everybody's so little. I can't see them. And, can y'all see me? I choreographed something online. I directed a few things online. And the good thing is, I said, no, y'all really have to project. Because if I can't hear you, the audience is not going to be able to hear you. And it made the point at which I saw them physically even more wonderful. So I would encourage people to think in terms of making part of a production, even when we open up, because a lot of people are stifled by budget and won't, even as an actor, people will say, I want you to do this show, but I can't bring you in for 6 weeks. And, okay, I can come off book in 3. But now you can do that with directors as well. Mm-hmm. Just, think differently about what's possible. And what I did the second time I did it was I did a show that had 3 actors, which I thought at first was manageable, but we were in 4 different places. And so the technology, and how we struggle today to get me into this medium. Oh, the first 10 minutes was, I can hear so-and-so, but I can't see him. Can you hear him? Okay, tell him to call, text him and say, we can't, we see his mouth move, but okay, tell him to call back. So it was that, which was frustrating, but also possible. So you adjust your schedule so that the first 10 minutes are letting everybody get online. And what I did toward the end of that rehearsal period, I said, because we had one physical rehearsal where I blocked everything and asked the actors to remember the blocking, even though they were in their tiny spaces in front of a little camera. So toward the end, because it was a very, very short time where I would see them again physically, I said, create your own set in your space and then pretend the other people are there. It'll be weird for you, but I'll be able to see all of you. And I think my brain will translate like contacts do. And it worked. And it worked so well that I was giving notes like, why did you do that? Didn't you see? Oh, that's right. You can't see. Okay, yeah. Remember the blocking, because she's doing it, but you can't see, and your brain translates. So for the directors out there who may be afraid to take that leap, it's a pain in the butt, but it does work. And I can attest to that. And it makes for a different and exciting experience. And I think with the technology and green screens, you can't tango, but you can do a lot of things on film and then merge things together. And actors who have an eclectic resume will be used to this. I did a lot of voice over work in my time, and often you're not working with your co-stars. Often you don't see them. People say, "Oh, what was it like to work with Tone Loc?" Never met him. But he played your boyfriend. And yeah, I know, but yeah, we didn't work at the same time. I never saw him. He was never in the studio when I was there. And that happens all the time in voiceover, because you're recording, they just care about your voice, and then they mix it all together because the visual is something completely different. Well, now we're living in an age where we have to adjust our brains to the fact that the physical might be recorded one by one, and the actors have to use their imaginations a little bit more and a little bit different. And if you've done green screen work, if you've done CG work, then you know the monster's not real. You're looking at dots on a wall, so you might be looking at your co-star in that same manner. And we'll get used to it. We will adjust, and we will remember the time when we were all in the same room. And it might just be a memory. So Start working on your home studios, people, so we can stay ahead of the game.
So do you think that being a director helps you be a better actor and vice versa?
Absolutely. I discovered that when I was still in undergrad. I got my theater degree from Florida A&M. But I went to FAM on a business scholarship and was a business major for 2 years, and then switched over to this teeny tiny theater program that was so small that some classes were only offered once every 4 years. And so to graduate on time, I co-opted at Florida State. And that's where, although I shadowed my mentor, Dr. Davis, and everything he ever directed, and he directed all of the shows at FAMU, I took directing at Florida State and had 3 brilliant directing professors in that class. But what I learned is that without deciding to, I choreographed my scenes first. And so I could see them visually. Because that's, my dancer and my choreographer hat just emerged first. And then once I saw that it was pretty, then I told the directors, their part of it, how they would enter into it. I think that you can't, it's not even a conscious thing. Yeah. Everything feeds on everything else. So as a director, I am studying lighting now. I'm studying all of the aspects that I'm not as strong in as acting, because automatically I know how to talk to the actors. Now because of my television background and my theater background, because I've not always come up to people and say, "Can I follow you and watch you?" I just do. I just watch, I just follow, and I learn. And so, because I like to have intelligent conversations, I don't like to say, "Hey, can you do the thing with the thing that you do, whatever that is?" No, I like to say, "I want a cowboy. Can you, I want to talk the language that each department talks."
And now it's time for Man Robinson's Random Thought of the Day.
Everybody know I also have what they call a random thought. And my random thought of today, looking at my notes here, is it just me, or is Kanye West trying his hardest to make his shoes and clothes not look like shoes and clothes? Just a question. Not hating, because to be honest with you, I got a pair of Yeezys, man. The Red October, still got them, still rock them, and everybody know why I rock them and why I bought them. So it's not hating, it's just a question. If you don't believe me, Google his new shoes that he got out right now, where they about to drop, and you see, you can debate it all you want, but that's my random thought. Now we're gonna go to the trailer one more time for Revival, and then we're coming back again with Takia Crystal Kehmáh. This is Man. Peace.
Random Thought of the Day.
This Easter Sunday.
Whom do you see?
Jesus of Nazareth, the one who was crucified.
Jesus Christ,
Our Lord.
the Son of God, is alive again.
A musical inspired by the book of John.
Have you considered that he may never have been dead?
Revival. A must-see inspirational movie for the whole family. Streaming online for one day only.
This Jesus the Christ, does he remind you of anyone?
Family.
Daughter, what is wrong? My father is God, and I only do as he commands.
You don't want to miss this Easter Sunday.
Everyone who can receive the truth listens to my voice.
Imprisoning him is not our request.
Log on to www.eastersunday2020.online.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes with Man Robinson. We don't just talk about it, we be about it.
That I can really communicate respectfully to every department, every person to whom I'm speaking. But yes, definitely one feeds on the other. I can't, and you don't want to watch a movie with me or see a play with because I do see everything. I see everything, and after the movie, 9.5 times out of 9, people come out, wasn't that great? What did you see? Seriously, you didn't see those shadows? You didn't see that boom? Right. You didn't see that? Yeah. You didn't hear that when you... So, but yeah, absolutely. The actor, the director, the dancer, the choreographer, the singer, the producer. As I noticed, it's like, how many shots was that? Did they take? Oh, they had money. Or 2 setups, 1 take. That's probably 1 take. Because they would have done that over. They saw that. You can't not see that. They didn't have money. So all of those hats are on at one time. You can't take them off. I don't think I can.
No, I agree. And that was what we talked about earlier, with the other people from the movie, or your cast members, I should say. Mm-hmm. And, with Harry being director and actor as well, producer and director. I had my own story. 2014, I was directing a film, and it's one of my own films, and I hired a DP. And it was just so cool to say that, I got a DP. Yeah, I got a DP. So I hired him and I paid him whatever the day rate was. I can't remember. And I wasn't paying him any attention. I just was calling my shots, because I hired him. He was union. He was all that. So just calling my shots and setting up my shot list and all the things I needed to do. I got back to the studio and it was shadows and that wasn't colored. And this, so it was only one scene, which cost me, a lot of money that one day. Yeah. But I literally enrolled in school the next week.
I'm reshooting a short that I did in Chicago a few years ago for that same reason. Trusted someone without looking and made what was later, I realized, a mistake, acting and directing with a company of people that did not have the right kind of experience and were fronting. Oh yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's good because do I need to come out, because it was a complicated location and everything would have to be disturbed for me to come out as the actor, come around and look. You got to look. You got to look at every shot.
And he asked me. He said, "Do you want to look?" I got the monitor, and I was like, "No, I'm straight. I'll take it." And then I came and I said, I went to school, and now I'm one of the better DPs. I'm very good at it, but I only use it to, like what you just said, to
make sure.
Yeah, and to call out when I need to call out. Yeah. So now I know, and so I agree, and I think that any filmmaker out there, I think that we have acting classes here too. And whenever I speak, I encourage people to learn editing. If you want to be a director, if you want to be a director, you have to learn how to edit.
I was just telling a friend, if I weren't a performer, I'd be an editor. Yeah. And back in the day when you had, I'm sitting right in front of him, I'm doing an ad, but the VHS tape, that's one of my favorite films, have plenty. And we had to have that was your reel. It was a physical reel on a VHS tape. Yeah. And you would go to a video editing house to edit, and whatever the length it had to be, and they would say, this is what I have. And I go, no. we can get that down to whatever, let's say 10 minutes. And they go, well, we'd have to cut one of these things. We can cut 4.5 seconds off of there. If you merge this, right away, I became an editor because, just over the shoulder saying to people, do this, do that, look at that again. And I remember I was in the editing bay of a friend who was editing his show, and I heard him say, let's go back to real so-and-so and so. And I thought, oh, that's so good. Yes, just remember every single thing you shot. Because it might not even be the circle take. But and for those who don't know, that circle take is, you do, 5 takes, let's do it again, another take. And then you have your shot list and you say, we did this setup 3 times, but number 2 was the best one. So when we're coming into the edit, that's the one we're going to pull. But if you know what you've shot every time, and it might be, oh, it was great until that thing fell, and the sound couldn't use it. So we're not going to circle that. But in the edit, if you remember that take was good up until the thing fell, then you could edit the first part of that in, if you remember. So
that's where this podcast is not supposed to be about boasting or anything like that. But that is my strong part when I'm directing, because you have the whole crew who are not editors.
Right.
Editors don't come on set with me, but
they should,
but they don't. So so I'm there and we have a shot, and I'll give you an example. The camera, we pan, and we're panning, and then when we get to the end of it, of course, the crew is in the shot, right? Mm-hmm. But I had already accomplished what I accomplished on quarter pan, and it's just listen, calm down. It's actually on a movie we just shot for Mr. Cooper, by the way. And when I edited it too, by the way. When you sat down, I circled, boom, it's there, and it ran smoothly because I knew exactly what it was. Right. So that's just to agree with what you're saying. And I think any filmmaker that's listening, they got to start from there and go this way. Mm-hmm. Or vice versa. Yeah. But if you're directing and you don't do any of that, you don't know what you're getting. You're just getting shots.
Yeah.
I get this shot. And then when you go in the editing room, or you cross the line, or you didn't get coverage, or you got too many shots, or whatever. But anyway, I agree.
Yeah, and rehearse.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do 49 takes.
Yeah, you gotta rehearse. Once you get it together, it's a template. You have a human template, and you just do it every single time, and you're good to go, as long as you know where you're going. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming today to our podcast. It's called Behind the Scenes with Man Robinson, brought to you by blackfilm.com, and we'll air on Blackcom this episode April 8th. Okay. And we are excited about your release of Revival, which is going to be on Easter, April 12th.
Yes.
And there's the website, or there's links on your website, and there's going to be links here on this one as well. So again, thank you, and you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. Thank you for having everybody that's related to the film Revival, and please edit in. I hope everyone will join us in the watching of Revival Easter Sunday 2020, which is April 12th. And in the meantime, I hope everybody can just pause and reflect every day for light in the universe.
Once again, thank you to legendary Kehmáh Crystal. Oh, it's not.
Kehmáh.
I seen your website. You got it broken down in 100 syllables.
Yeah, because the key to remember my name is there's a key in my first and last name. Okay. Kehmáh Crystal Kehmáh, and Kehmáh is said like if you're saying, "Where's my Kehmáh?" Okay. So first one is Kehmáh Crystal Kehmáh. Kehmáh. Where's my Kehmáh?
Where's my Kehmáh? The legendary. Like, you might be the only person that's been in 3 legendary shows. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some research on that. So thank you very much. It was an honor and a pleasure. And I am going to follow you on all your social media if you want to tell the audience what that is.
Yes, please. Instagram, Kehmáh Crystal. Facebook, Kehmáh Crystal Kehmáh.
Where's my Kehmáh?
Hey, that's it. And my website, www.tkeyah.com.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks for tuning in to Behind the Scenes with Man Robinson. Our aim is to genuinely encourage and inspire you with the compelling stories and content we provide in hopes that you'll inspire others. For info on upcoming episodes and all things surrounding film, techniques, and motivation, follow at Man Robinson on all social platforms. View on blackfilm.com, manrobinson.org, or stream anytime on Spotify and iTunes.